What's up, all my folks out in YouTube land? Daryl, also known as the Finisher. Hey, what we're gonna go over today is this. If you're looking to get started in the handyman business, just a set of power tools, there's certain power tools that you'll need, and some accessories that you'll need that if you get them, and you don't even have to pay a lot of money for this stuff, but it's the basics that you'll need that you can start tomorrow. It'll cover like 75% of your jobs. I'm telling you, you get hyped up sometimes, you start going out and wanting to buy all types of crazy stuff. Like I'm saying right here now, if you're just starting out, you do not need a miter saw and you do not need a table saw, right? You don't need either one of those. So these are the power tools you're gonna wanna invest in when you're just starting. Let's go. Now, first things first, you're gonna need a drill. There is no way of getting around it. You need a drill. It'll perform all the duties that it needs, drilling through things, screwing things, whatever. But as you see, I have a driver here. I love the driver. Now the difference is, if you want to use a drill, it'll do a lot more functions than a driver. But one thing a driver does, it regulates the torque. So it regulates how much you turn that screw. Right, so if I'm putting in the drywall screw, this won't just screw it straight through. It'll start clicking. You'll hear it click, 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 click. Well, you can get good enough on this, you can stop it at one click. I do it all the time. I want 2 clicks, I make sure it goes 2 clicks. This, you just gotta know when to stop it. So if you tighten something, you just need to know that it's ready to not be tightened anymore. But it'll fit all these little accessories and whatever, all your little bits. And the biggest thing you want is you want a drill that has a hammer drill function. Believe it or not, this drill right here, man, I use it for mixing thin set. I use it for, buckets of drywall mud. It's that powerful that I don't need to have a corded one, some old school thing I'm plugging in, and I don't need none of that. This one drill will do it all. Now I like the driver, so I say if you can get it, like right now, I put a link throughout this video. You'll see links on the screen or whatever, for any of the tools that you might want. You might want to check them out. So, you might not want the ones that I got. You might want different brand or something like that. But I'll put some of these links up so you can see. Especially nowadays, they got these sales going on. This is the time of year I usually go and buy the set of these because I can get an extra battery. And it's actually a pretty good deal. Get you a drill, and if you can afford to get the set, get this drill and the driver. And depending on what you're doing, you might not even need this. I mean, this drill, you might be able to get this is a 18 volt battery for this one, right? You might be able to get to 12 volts. So if you're doing like appliances or something like that, where it's just small screws and stuff you're taking off, you don't need this. You're gonna need something like these though, like the 18 volt. When you start getting into the big boy stuff, I don't know if you're taking the wood carriage bolts or what you call them, the wood carriage bolts or whatever. You're gonna need something strong, something more powerful than the 12 volts. So these 18 volts will get the job done. And I suggest get a decent brand. I know there's cheap stuff out there. I don't know all of them, so I don't know which one is better than the next as far as from, a lot of people staying on the Flex brand, or, you got the regulars, DeWalt, Makita, Milwaukee, but you're gonna need something good. I'm just telling you from experience. One of my first jobs I was doing, I said it before, I had like a bunch of cobalt tools. I was cobalted up. But I was doing a lot of just, side work and side stuff here. I wasn't doing a whole lot of heavy duty work before. Man, I was in one of them old barns from like the 1800s trying to drill, trying to drill a hole. Just trying to drill a hole to hang a shelf. Man, I heard something snap inside of my driver. I was like, what happened? It was just the inside just snapped and just stopped working. I was like, okay, I need big boy tools, man. I need to stop playing games. So that's what I started going with the Makita stuff, man. And like I said, it hasn't failed me yet. So make sure you get you a good drill. It'll do everything you need. But if you can get the driver too, that's a beautiful thing, man. This combination is a match made in heaven. Now I figure if I'm gonna talk about the drill and the driver, I might as well give you a few of the accessories that I think are necessary, things that you're gonna need to use with a drill and driver. you're obviously gonna need drill bits. These are the ones that I use. And I do much better job. One thing I was terrible at was keeping drill bits. I've had this set now probably for about, it might have been like a year. And I actually have all the drill bits. Crazy. Dude, I would lose drill bits all over the place. And these are, of course, made just for the drill. They're made just for the drill. With the driver, you know, it'd have to look like this. So these are made just for the drill, and I like those. They're one solid piece, and these so far have gone through anything that I needed them to go through. So, but the biggest thing is not losing them. I think this set right here was like $100. And I'm gonna tell you this, as far as drill bits, like what are the best ones, I have no idea. I couldn't tell you. I've had every drill bit from every company snap, like just snap, break off. The smaller ones, the bigger ones, they all seem to do relatively well, but man, keep up with them, because that seems like to be the biggest thing for me, is like just losing them. Of course, you're gonna use these type of drill bits for everything. Everything. You can get drill bits, and if I have any, I'll show you that'll fit the driver. But I'll be honest with you, I found that I don't like them. I just don't. I don't like using my driver to drill anything. It's just me. I don't like it. So yes, if you're asking, I will carry the drill and the driver in at a job site versus carrying just the driver and having the drill bits for the driver. Call me what you want, you know what I mean? Just how it goes. That's what I was talking about before. If you're using a driver, you need the hex shank on there. Like I said, I have them, I use them, but I just don't like to if I don't have to. Next thing, you're gonna need sockets, right? Sockets are gonna fit driver, drill, whatever. Now, you see I got these big deep sockets. These sockets are, usually something you'd use for automotive, right? I carry these. See, this is something like a specialty situation. I carry these too, with the little hex connector on there, it's a 1/4 inch. And these are just for dishwasher, the feet. That's it. I don't manually unscrew the feet off a dishwasher. It'll usually fit this one right here. This is, what size is this? 5/16. I can usually put this right on the feet, drill it right up. I mean, it saves so much time. But, these are accessories that kind of accessories that you need. Like I said, of course, you're gonna need all kind of drill bits, of course. And I use the little magnetic connectors or whatever. That little red thing right there, that just make the tip magnetic. These bit holders, of course, an angle bit holder. So something like that where, if you're gonna need to use the driver, you put that in there. And if you gotta reach around and drill something that's on the side, you can do that, Great tools. I use this a lot. Like, I've used it running wires and stuff. Not this, but actually, I've used this quite a bit, running for drilling in different types of wood. Actually, drilling through wood, it works great. You need more socket sets. You see mine's missing. They're just in the bag somewhere, but I got these socket sets or whatever. All these accessories that you'll use. Ones that you might not use. Something like this. This is actually a bit for hooks. So you can get on here and like the little eyeball or eyelet screws or hook screws. That's what this is for. These spade bits. I mean, I got sets of these. This one is not part of a set. It's 1.5 inches. You're not going to use this that often, but you will use it on something like, I don't know, installing microwaves, installing over the arranged microwaves, the drill for the plug. You use something like this. So, but you need a whole set of these, and you need the auger bits too, that are like this. They'll drill through anything, drill holes through anything. Hinge drill bits. So this will give you a perfect hole every time, right in the middle of a hole for the hinge for a door. These are perfect. Now, like I said, you won't need all these from the start. I can go into super detail just all different types of bits and stuff that I have that'll just makes your life so much easier. But when you're starting out, dude, you need a few sets of these where you'll get these flatheads. You need the sets of the where you get the T25, the T30s and all those. You do need, I always keep some flatheads, a set of Allen wrenches. Like I recommend a lot of time using these Allen wrenches, like the manual ones, versus the kind you use as a bit. Now I have Allen wrenches, a set for the drill or the driver, but I like these sometimes because sometimes that torque is too much, man, and it'll strip the screw. So sometimes, depending on what I'm doing, I just use the manual ones. But that's it. It's eventually, you get your little hole saw drill kit. This is a one for wood. Oh, got another one for metal. And I'm not, I just happen to have the Spider brand, and I'm not gonna front. I do like the Spider brand. I don't know what it is about it. I have, like I said, I showed you the drill bit over here. I mean, where this is the Diablo. I got all sorts. I'm all over the place with these things. But look, one day if you want me to like go into real depth about the different bits and the stuff that you can get, we'll do that, man. Until then, these are all you need. Speaking of power tools, the sponsor of this video is a power tool, even though it doesn't get plugged in, doesn't use batteries. I'm telling you, Jobber is a power tool. It will power your business. You see what I did there? Every once in a while, I'll get a customer that'll reach out, and it's somebody I've dealt with before, but it's just been so long that I can't quite remember who they are. Man, I can just put their name in the Jobber app. It's a beautiful thing. All their information comes up, all the transactions, all the jobs that I've done for them, like everything comes up so I can get a history, good or bad, right? It's actually saved me in some situations from some customers that were a little sketchy, but it also helped me in multiple situations to have the whole back catalog. Tell me that ain't powerful. It's things like that, plus the ability to create quotes and send it to their phone and email right on spot. The ability to send them an invoice right at the moment. The ability to track your time. The ability to have an AI assistant. They're all individual power tools wrapped up into one super power tool. Jobber, man, like look, make sure you use my link in the description and let them know that the finisher sent you, all right? Get a little discount while you're at it. Jobber, man, you won't regret it. Now the next one might be my favorite one. It's the Multitool. I mean, there was a time I used to say, man, I thought about it. What if I was to remove my arm and just have this in place of it? You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's how useful this thing is. I was using it so much. It's just, I don't know if there's a job that I do that I don't use this at some point for little intricate things, man. You never know. But if you don't know what this is, Multitool, it's a plunge cut tool. So this little blade right here, it goes back and forth this way, oscillating. Some people also call it an oscillating tool. But it'll go back and forth this way, which allows you to just drive it down into something or plunge it directly into something. See that vibration right there? So it's just going back and forth super fast, and it just allows you to go and make cuts that you were never able to do before. Never able to do. Goes straight through. That's why, like I said, this thing is great for drywall. So starting out, this is all I used to ever use for cutting drywall and things of that nature. I might need to cut a weird cut on a, I don't know, piece of plywood or a piece of wood for that matter. Take a little chunk out or something like that. I could use this. So you see this. This is the standard size, right? That's the standard size bit that comes with them all. But depending on the job that I'm doing, I might need a smaller one. See this one? It's just slightly smaller than that one, right? Or I might need an even smaller one. So I might have to go get one that's like this. See that? See how little that is? So 3 different sizes. Let me to myself, you can really see it with the garage door as the background, the different sizes. I was just using all these different ones recently. I had a job where I had a windowsill where it wasn't the windowsill, I was trimming out the windows, boxing all the windows out on the interior. Well, we decided that instead of removing the windowsill, we just cut a little notch out and ran the trim down behind the windowsill, because you know windowsill sticks out on the sides of windows. Came out beautifully. But if I didn't have this, I would have had to remove all the windowsills, take them outside, circular saw or table saw, you know, to cut them outside and then bring them back in and all that. Nope, I was just able to go inside the house, plunge down and cut them exactly where I needed to cut them to. Beautiful thing. These things are like lifesavers. Not just that. Let me take this one off. Here's one right here. Another attachment. See, something like this. See how that's really gritty, grimy? This is for something I use for like grout removal. So if I'm doing tile and I gotta remove grout for whatever reason, if I'm doing a grout removal job, oh, this is great. Now you gotta be steady if you're gonna use this for grout removal, because let me tell you something. You're going down that line, if this thing veers off, man, it's gonna leave a scratch right on that tile. So, you know, you gotta be really careful using something like this, but you can use that. I mean, there's all sorts of things. This is another one, this one right here. This is a rounded one. It'll cut wood with nails. So if I need to go across a surface or something, go across some kind of surface with this, I mean, so many different things you can use this for. I'm telling you, I was like, this besides the drill and the driver, this is like probably one of my favorite tools. I told you, I thought about putting it in as a new arm. Like, I don't even know how that would look. It'd be crazy for me to be walking around like this. You know what I mean? And I could just change out the accessories, right? I mean, could I put a hand accessory on there? I'm pretty sure I can get one made. I'm telling you, this thing is the truth. So, and this was not the first one I had. I had one that was corded. It was a Rockwell. I think it was a Rockwell one, though, but it was corded. I still have it. Works to this day. It's just that of course, I'm all battery powered nowadays. But I'm telling you, man, Multitool, you gotta get one. All right, next up, circular saw. You're gonna definitely need one of these. You don't need all of these. I just got a couple different examples for you. I do actually have a corded Milwaukee circular saw, but I mean, circular saw is one of them things where I just like it to not be corded. And I get it. A lot of people have an issue with the power. They think that you're gonna have more power. And I do think that a regular top handle circular saw like this, I mean, it has power. It has power, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't have that big boy power like you might need sometimes when you're cutting through, 4x4s, depending on what you're doing. Even plywood. Sometimes plywood can be tricky, because if you end up veering off just a little bit, you don't go in that straight line, man, this thing's gonna get jammed up. You'll have all kind of problems with this. Now, this little one, I mean, I pretty much use it for, like flooring. This to me is much more efficient for me to use to do like laminates and the LVP flooring to make my cuts than it is for me to use a jigsaw. It's just, this thing is much faster and it's a clean cut. So, but you're really going to use this in situations where it's small, and it's a 12 volt. So it doesn't have the most power, but it's a saw, I figured I'd show it to you. Now this one, the big boy, rear handle, this is battery powered, but it takes two batteries, but this will cut through anything. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I probably break this one out more than I break out any other ones. Even if I got a small cut, I mean, the way I got them stored, like, it's kind of whichever one I get to first, but normally this is the one, man. This is the one, and it even has a spot right here for a vacuum. And if you know me, I mean, I love putting vacuums attachments on things, especially if I'm gonna use it a lot. Then I like to have a vacuum attachment to clear up all that dust. But yep, you're gonna need these, like I said, any kind of woodworking. Think, also remember that the blade, it's not like you could only have to put saw blades in here. You can put metal cutting blades in here. You can put tile cutting blades in here, or, you know, to say to cut stone or anything like that. You're going to be cutting bricks or whatever, masonry blades. You can put any one of those in here and use it. Like, I've had to use it recently to cut like what is it, that cured, what's it called? Cured marble? The bathroom countertops or whatever? Cultured. I think it's cultured marble countertops. I'll put it on the screen, man. If there's one of them. This right here, this big boy right here, it will do every cut you need. And if you got this and you got a speed square, you'll get accurate cuts. You'll get straight angle cuts every time, the angles that you need. And you just have to learn. That's one thing I do know, that you're gonna have to learn how to use this to get a straight line. Because a lot of those framers, man, I had to, step my game up because I was relying on miter saws to get angle cuts. And, it's just unnecessary. The thing is, at this point, if you're like just starting out, you don't need them you don't need a miter saw unless you're doing like finished carpentry, you're doing baseboards somewhere or something like that, or you just don't need it. There's, I figured that I got a miter saw early, but I did it because my skills with the circular saw weren't good enough to get those same angle cuts. If I would have just worked on it at the time, I wouldn't have needed a miter saw when I first started, because I wasn't doing crown or anything like that. Like I said, maybe you start doing baseboards is probably the easiest thing to do. But even for like quarter round, you can use a little quarter round cutter now for those. You don't even need a saw. But like I said, man, this is what you need in your life. You can do all your angle cuts and everything like this, all your carpentry, all the way up to finished carpentry. This is all you need. Like I said, switch the blades out if you want to do something else, if you want to cut something else. But circular saw. All right, y'all. Next on the list, reciprocating saw. You need one of these. Now, if you plan on doing any kind of demolition, like, taking anything apart, I don't care if you're breaking down a deck, a small staircase, anything, you need one of these. So I got a few different kinds. Now, I'm a big proponent. Like I said, I started out, I didn't have the battery stuff. I had just this one. This is probably a decade old. This for first reciprocating saw I had. Bam, still works to this day. And I still use it because, I don't know, sometimes that power you get, well, I don't know. I don't use that often anymore because these have so much power now. The battery powered ones, not that they were underpowered before, but I think when they first came out, it was just almost seemed impossible for them to have as much power as something that was plugged in. And also the batteries didn't last that long. So, you can still have this and you're gonna get it all day. But now, I mean, these things will last, man. But I'm saying, like, if they're cheaper, these are still great. They're still great as something to start with, and something, I just keep it for certain scenarios. I still use it. But I got a compact one. Sometimes I need to reach behind things or in certain areas where this one can't get to. You see the difference in the length of the two. So, yeah, I love this thing, man. I use this. I mean, I'm saying it don't matter what kind of wood you're breaking down. Like I said, you get the blade with the wood with nails in it, and I done went through all kind of different blades, from the DeWalt to the Diablo to the joints you buy online. Which one's best? I don't know. I haven't done experiments like that. I just buy what I need when I need it. But I'm telling you, unless you're, I don't know, the Shogun of Harlem. If you might be able to just break boards by yourself. You might be able to just go up to that door frame, and a lot of times to take out that old door frame, you gotta just go to the middle and cut that joint in half. Well, I mean, if you got the glow, you might be able to just and just karate chop that joint. You know what I mean? Like, but for us that don't have the glow, you need a reciprocating saw. Okay, y'all, I almost forgot that I think you need a nail gun. I mean, how did I forget the nail gun? There's just so many uses for it. A lot of times when you're just gonna have to secure a piece of trim in place, right? Where you might not be installing trim or, whatever, but you might be putting in some flooring, you might have to put cord around in, or you might have to pop off some trim, do some work on a door or something like that, and then pop the trim back on. You need a nail gun. There's just so many circumstances where you need it. And for me, this is where I started. I did start with a battery powered and I used Bostitch because they were the first ones with the battery. Now, I got 3 of these. I got 3 of these Milwaukee. This is the 18 gauge right here. You might not always have to use a battery powered because they're expensive. I mean, these things go from $350 to $400. What you might have to start with is where I started, man, with the pneumatic nailers. Like this one right here, this one, this is one I bought and I hardly ever used it. It looks brand new, but it's dust on it, dust on the box because I haven't used it in so many years. This thing is probably 8 years old. But this is a pneumatic nail gun, and when I first started doing flooring, I was doing flooring, and you get up in the corners, you get in certain spots. I used to use this or a palm nail or something like that to secure the boards where you can't get the staple hammer in anymore. But yeah, nice little pneumatic nailer. I have cheaper ones. I used to use a brand called HDX. It was Home Depot store brand. I had a whole set of them that probably cost about $120 for a few different sizes. Now, this one right here is a 16 gauge. 16 gauge came really handy when I was doing flooring. But I'm gonna tell you right now, if I was starting right now, I would just get 2. And I would start out with an 18 gauge, which is for most trim, like I said, you pop a piece of casing off, put it back on. For most trim, this 18 gauge will handle most things. It'll leave a small nail hole or whatever. If you're gonna do something like install doors or something like that, then you need something a little larger. You're gonna need a 15 gauge nailer. But either one will work for like trim or anything like that. This 18 gauge will just leave a smaller imprint, but the nails aren't strong enough to hold something like a door. So you're definitely gonna need a 15 gauge if you wanna do those. All right, or just get one. Like I said, start with certain jobs. So if you're gonna be doing flooring, installing LVP or something like that, this is really all you need. This will get you the cord around, it'll get you a small imprint, and it'll work perfect every time. But like I said, the cheaper option is to go with a pneumatic one. And the thing about it is, when I started the air compressors, I had to get a certain kind. I think I showed it in a video a long time ago. It's called California Air Tools. It was a quiet compressor, and it was great. Like, the old pancake compressors used to be super loud. But I think now it's much easier to get a quiet compressor. I think most of the ones that are sold are much quieter than they used to be. So get you a nice little compressor. Whatever you do, you gotta get a nail gun. You gotta get a nailer. Unless you wanna go totally old school with it, you can go super old school, the cheapest way, and get you some finished nails and the little hammer and the little nail setter and just knock the nails in. You can do it that way if you want to. It's just highly ill-advised. All right, so there it is, and there you have it. This was to cover the basics. So, I mean, if you're gonna be doing throwing some little bit of plumbing in, a little bit of electrical, and there are other tools you're gonna need for those jobs, but we're talking about the basics. If you just need to do basic repairs and small installs and, assembly and little stuff like that, this is all you need. Like some people, this is all they use. They could use these tools right here, these power tools. You're gonna need some hand tools, but we're just talking about the power tools right now. You can use these. You can build almost anything with just this. And you know how you know? Because people did it for years. They went and built all this stuff for years without using massive tools and spending a lot of money and table saws and all that kind of stuff. So I'm telling you, get these, you won't regret it. Daryl, also known as the finisher. Stay safe, be blessed, and remember, if the trades don't work, nothing else does.